Welcome to Gaia's Love, a podcast of brief messages to help humanity bridge the gap to the new earth. My name is Vivienne Gerard. It is my delight to be a scribe for consciousness today, sharing the wisdom that flows through from Source. Here we go. Episode 105. It is Friday. A little chilly here in Cincinnati, but the sun is starting to peek through the clouds, so I am optimistic. It's going to warm up and it's going to be a beautiful sunny Friday. As we transition from the work week into a weekend, the holidays are picking up momentum, lots of activity. Yeah, and the topic for today, it started in a dream that I was having early this morning, and I have been unpackaging or unraveling it a little bit in meditation since then. So I'm going to sort of wander through it or muddle my way through it. It doesn't feel completely clear yet, but it also feels like this space helps me get more clear. So I woke up early, and the word frequency was I was having a dream, but that was the word that came out of the dream. And so I was just laying there for a while, waking up, thinking and feeling the word frequency and how what we're putting our attention on has a frequency, a radio station, like we were talking about in Seeking a couple days ago. Our frequency is sending out this signal into the people around us, into the world, into the places where we live and work and play and engage. And that frequency, that radio channel, is being matched by other people with that same radio channel frequency. And so I was just laying in bed sort of thinking about all of that and how the frequency we choose is creating our experiences all day. If we're choosing these frequencies that are negative or judgmental or disappointed or angry, then that frequency is sending that signal out, and we're going to bring towards us other people who are in that same sort of emotional place, and it becomes more. We create more of it, and we get that energy becomes bigger in our day, and the more we set that frequency station, the more we see more of it, and then it just confirms that that's our reality, and we just keep creating more and more and more. And I don't know, it was so interesting to look at it. And then I started thinking about the contrast, like when we have our frequency set to building something new or to creating something that has not been created yet, we're focusing on that so it expands. So that led me to this idea of how we create things that aren't seen yet. And when our frequency is tuned to, for example, the new earth, which is what I'm going to focus on, what I've been focusing on, when we set our frequency to the new earth, this idea that we can all live in a world where we communicate from love always, and there is no fear, and the love is fueling creativity and harmony and peace. And so this new world, this new earth, is a space that is high frequency, high vibration. As I was exploring that idea, like when we all tune our frequency to this image of something that is unseen, it's much like architecture and in the construction world. So, backstory. For about 5 years, I worked as a marketing manager for the Cincinnati office of a construction firm that has international locations. And so they build huge buildings, and small buildings and everything in between. And it's an amazing company. And what I learned, because I knew nothing about construction when I started at that company, I knew about marketing and management and events and organization. I didn't know anything about construction. What I learned over those 5 years is how things are built, how we create something physical from something that never existed before. And big things. The first project I worked on was this enormous tower that is the tallest tower in Cincinnati, and we had never built something that tall before. And these architects with a vision designed something that was beyond what had previously been known in this area. And then the construction experts took those drawings and built into form something that somebody had visualized before it ever existed. And so there's this partnership, this flow between architecture and construction. The behind the scenes of that, not that project, but all projects in construction, the behind the scenes is that architects are visionaries and construction managers are usually engineers. They're very tangible, grounded, know results, see results, create results. And the architects are like, big imaginary creators. And so there's this dynamic that happens between the two different kinds of work forms, creating and building. The best are construction managers who are architects or have trained in architecture, because they can see all sides, they can do all things. But the idea I kept looking at was architecture. When an architect sits down to create something new, they take all of the research, the knowledge of the logistics of a building, for example. So, the number of feet needed per height of the building, the amount of concrete needed at the base in order to create the sustained height. They have all this very basic, defined, rigid information that is going to be used in the building. But then they use that information to dream, to move shapes, to create curves where normally there would be lines. They design with imagination, even as they're using the known information of what is true today. As I was starting at this construction company, what was amazing to witness is how the environmental issues in our world were starting to come into buildings. So how do we build for long-term sustainability? How do we build efficient buildings? And so these architects were weaving environmental benefits, the ways to have buildings last longer and be less damaging to our world. They were taking these amazing new concepts and weaving that into design. And so this idea of architecture, it's all encompassing. It brings all factors into the creation of something unseen. And then the builders build it. So what I was imagining or feeling this morning, I know this is a lot, but it was coming through so quickly, and I was trying to find a way to make it all make sense and translatable. So I hope it's translating. What I was sensing this morning, what I'm feeling, is that we are all designing right now what this new earth looks like. We are the architects of the new earth. And by that I mean we are dreaming into existence something that is not previously known. We're taking the foundation of the current world, which is fear-based and heavy and dense, and everyone works too hard, and they have, limited time, limited resources. There's health issues, mental issues. Like, our current world is so heavy, it's so dense, it's known information. We know the statistics of what's happening right now in our world. Knowing all of that, as architects of a new earth, we are dreaming into existence something that has not yet existed, something that is beyond the current form or structure. And so we experiment, we try things, we draw one way and we see if it's feasible or how it would look or translate, and then we make adjustments and we tweak it and we design it. But it would be like having one architect trying to draw a building that's going to serve, 500 million people or a billion, like an Olympic stadium. If you can imagine one architect trying to design everything that needed to happen for that one stadium, it's an impossibility. But when you have a team of architects, when you have hundreds or thousands or millions of architects that are all bringing their knowledge and their expertise into how to design this Olympic stadium, and all of that information, the collaboration, the daydreaming that happens when everyone's putting their focus on what is the best Olympic stadium we could possibly create to serve all these people, the ideas that would be generated for that Olympic stadium would be beyond magnificent, because everyone would be bringing their best ideas forward. It's exactly like that. New Earth architects are more powerful when there are more of us, when all of us are starting to focus our attention on how do we build an earth that has never existed in this way before, that we remember. How do we build a world where everyone treats each other with respect and with kindness, where we see in the other the best of who they are? We allow others to see the best of who we are. We show up and we bring our best designs forward. When we all are doing that, when more and more of us are stepping into this role of New Earth architects and dreaming, designing, creating into form something magnificent, the builders will be able to build that. So from our dreams are going to come very specific ideas and plans and projects and books and CDs and artwork and programs and cities. I don't even know, like, what we're going to dream into existence. We will build. We will make the necessary adjustments so that that dream can become our reality, that architecture can become form, something built that we experience. It's just like when all of the green buildings started to come into the architecture world. It was happening right as I was in that time frame, but it had been happening for a while, and it's even more so now. The knowledge, the possibilities of how to bring environmental health into the buildings changed everything in architecture, which then changed everything in construction. And so the industries adjusted based on what new dreams, new information, new possibilities were being brought into the architecture. It's just like that for us. What are the important elements of a new earth based on love? What concepts, ideas need to be brought into this architecture? How do we shift our relationships? The intimate ones and the peripheral ones. How do we shift our relationships so that they are more loving, they are more truthful, they are more empowering of the other, more respectful of the other? How do we bring this idea that everyone has incredible value, and when we're in our genius, that value serves all, it serves humanity? How do we bring that into our work? How do we bring that into our exchanges of commerce? How do we take care of our planet? How do we, as designers, architects of a new earth, how do we take care of our earth? As we daydream, as we design, as we talk about those designs, as we share those designs, then we can start building. And the builders will come. The builders will be pulled by the magnetism of the designs. And they will have skills that the designers don't have. And then there's this transition time of the designers sharing their images, sharing their visions, and then the builder is going, I can do that, I can create that, I can do that with you, we can build those things. And then the buildings start to happen. What that looks like in the tangible physical world is there's new collaborations, there are partnerships, there's a new way of coaching, there's a new way of writing books, creating websites, there's a new way of hosting events. There are new companies always being formed, and this time they're coming from this energy of truth, respect, partnership, love. Like, it's just amazing. And we are the architects, the designers. You wouldn't be listening to this podcast if you didn't have that same desire to change the world, to make it more harmonious, to bring peace forward, to stand for love and dispel fear. You wouldn't listen to me. I would drive you crazy and you would go listen to another podcast. There's something in you that matches that urge I have of expanding love, connecting to Gaia, to Earth, expressing Gaia's love for us as humans in every and any way possible. So, New Earth architects, what do we do with it? How do we create it? How do we design it? How do we share it? How do we talk about it? I don't know, but it's starting. It's starting, so let's expand it. Let's just keep expanding it. Yeah. It's so exciting. All right. So much love for today. Thank you for tuning in to today's vibration. Let's take this message of pure love out into all of our communities and continue expanding love here on Gaia. So much love from my heart to yours.